Hello, and welcome to healthyhouseplants.com, where we teach you all about gardening in the great indoors. Today, we're going to have a follow-up on our last video and also pot up a little baby African violet that was grown from a leaf cutting put in water. This is the one that we have in the last video that when I showed you how to do a leaf cutting, you'll see that it has some really nice roots there now. It's not ready yet to be potted up into potting soil, but it is getting there. This one, however, which I showed you last time, which had little baby leaves, now has bigger, kind of adolescent sized baby leaves. And we're going to pot these up today. I'll show you how to do that once you get some roots and you get the leaves. Now, you'll see that this has died back. I left that on there for a reason. I wanted you to see that you don't want to let this go all the way to where the leaf has died back. What you want is you want the leaf to look something like this, where it looks like it's starting to die and you've got fairly good sized leaves on there. Okay, so we're going to pot up both. This one should be okay, but this one definitely will be okay. So we'll see what goes on when we get to that part. But first of all, what I want to do is we want to start with a nice light soil that has some good drainage in it. This has some perlite in it. Pumice is also good. I'm adding here a little bit of our Green Gourmet houseplant food, which is great for starting plants. Also for growing plants, you can get that on the website in our store. Now I've added a little bit of fertilizer, not too much because this is a little baby. You don't want to give too much, although this is organic. And then you want to moisten the soil before you plant anything when you're potting up or repotting anything. You want moist soil. The reason you want moist soil is if you use dry soil, when you plant and then you go to water after, the soil is going to go down and the plant will be too low in the pot. When you have a plant that's too low in the pot, you're going to end up with things like root rot and also pests and diseases because there's not enough air circulation going on. Okay, now I have prepared both of these pots. This is about the size you want for these little babies. You could go a little bit smaller too. I wouldn't go any bigger, however. Now, this is isopropyl rubbing alcohol. This is what you want to do, bottom and top of these pots. There's two of them in here. And then let this sit for 5 or 10 minutes and rinse it off. That will kill off any potential pathogens that might be in the pots, because you don't, especially if they're used pots. And if they're new pots, just rinse them in water. But if they're used pots, do spray them. You don't want any of those pathogens that could give these little babies a disease when you've done all this work to get them to this point. Okay, now I'm going to, these I did already prepare prior with the alcohol. Okay, so we're going to fill this guy up about here. Do the same with the other one. It's called tamping it. Tamping the pot. It will get air bubble, any air out of there and get it to go down a little bit. We're going to do more firming in a minute, but that just gets it to a good level. You see about like that level for this small of a plant. You want to very gently pull these guys out, and we want to, forgot to get some scissors if I needed them, but may not. Okay, this one you see easily took itself off of its mother leaf. So the mother leaf is here, and there's a little bit of root on that, but not much. Okay, so we've got basically essentially two different plants. So you could keep them together. I would in this size pot, but I'm going to separate them, so once they start growing, it'll be easier to separate them once they're bigger and they're ready to be repotted. Take something like this where you can make a little hole and go down as far as possible, because you want a nice, actually what I'm going to do is put this guy in alone, reserve this one to go with the other one. Okay, make a hole, go down almost all the way to the bottom. You want a lot of nice room for these roots. Nestle it in there very gently, because these are little, very tender roots. You can use this again to push them down in very gently. Okay, now you don't want, like I said, this too low in the pots. You're going to want to add a little bit more soil, it looks like. Probably would have been better. A little bit more. I'll do that on the next one. Okay. Now, we want the soil, when we're done, to be in this small of a pot, about 1/8 of an inch underneath the rim of the soil, the rim of the pot itself. So you see I'm pushing that down. Make sure you haven't buried any leaves. This looks like this was from something else. That's not it. Okay, so tamp it down gently, very gently. And then you want to water very carefully, but get it nice and moistened. Got that there. And then we're going to do the same with this other one, which you see is on the dead plant. So we want to remove that the mother plant, at least a big portion of it. Got a lot of root on this guy, and we have this other little one too. So since these are single leaves, I'm going to put them both in the same pot. I'm going to put more soil in here. Make 2 holes for each of these. Now for this, having this much root, a little bit of a problematic. I'm hesitating to go ahead and cut it because there's so much of it and it's good for the plant. So you could cut that some. It's better if you're not. Don't, but it's not that great if you have them twisting, so it's kind of a toss-up. Should be okay though this way. This guy over here has a lot less root, so you'll be fine. But you want to have that nice big hole to slide it into. There we go. More soil around it. Make sure if you're a little low, you can gently pull and then add more soil, and that will lift it. Because you do want it as erect as possible. Now you see this little guy has another little leaf that will start growing now once we've got it potted up here. Okay, so now we've got these 2 cute little African violets. We're going to water them. Now the next thing you would want to do is put them in some sort of a dome to give them some humidity for about a week while they acclimate, especially if you have the heater on and it's drying. So what you can do is take a milk jug or a water jug, cut off the bottom, set it on top, open up the lid where you would pour the water from to give it a little air circulation periodically, but put it back on to keep the moisture in there, and that will keep them nice and moist while they start to develop their roots. So that is how you repot these, and we will revisit them in the future to see how these little guys are doing. So thank you very much for watching, and enjoy gardening in the great indoors.